Those of you who have regularly been watching this channel will already know that Scotland is about to get a new TV channel, a commercial television station for the first time ever, which is not connected in any way with any United Kingdom companies, without any influence by the British media whatsoever, or the British government whatsoever. Now, the launch date is coming up rapidly on the 1st of August, just in case you had missed it. And the first documentary, which is to be aired on the new TV channel called Scotland 24, the channel is called Scotland TV, I beg your pardon. The company which is organising it's called Scotland 24, but Scotland TV launches on the 1st. And its very first effort, actually, in terms of programming, is a lengthy documentary about Scotland's unknown and basically unheard of space programme and space industry. Now, in Scotland, unfortunately, the British media has made sure that we don't actually ever really hear about our space programme and our space industry successes. But over the last 25 years or so, the Scottish space industry has grown dramatically into one of the biggest satellite manufacturing countries in Europe, in fact, in the world, generally speaking. But not only do they manufacture satellites, but we also have two indigenous rocketry companies in the form of Orbex and Forest and Skyrora in Edinburgh, both of whom are planning to launch their rockets from Scottish soil in the next few years. So that is something else which is basically not known about because the British media conceals it. Now, the other thing that the British media does with Scotland's space industry is to present it as British in some way as well. So that might be confusing to many of you. And in fact, some overseas, and in one particular case, an American correspondent who covers such things, tends to refer to Scotland's new spaceport at Saxavord as a European launching site. Now, technically speaking, I suppose that's true. It's the only vertical rocket launching site anywhere in Western Europe. But it never really mentions the fact that Saxavord is a part of Scotland. It's not a part of the United Kingdom, and nor was it really funded by the United Kingdom either. It was funded by local businessmen, business people, I should say, who put the money together to build the spaceport and the launching complex which goes along with it. And the other thing you may not know yet is that the very first rocket launch from this site is going to happen in the next 2 months. Unfortunately, this is not a Scottish rocket which is being launched, but a German one, which was undergoing what's known as a wet dress rehearsal over the last few days, where the rocket was placed on the pad and was fueled with propellants. But basically, a dress rehearsal is just what it sounds like. They fill it up with real fuel and they do everything on the countdown except like the engines. And that happened just last week. Again, something which you don't know about. However, that will be rectified soon on the 1st of August with the first documentary about Scotland's space industry, and it's called Scotland in Space. Now, that's not the only big documentary to come from Scotland TV. In fact, the very next one deals with a subject close to all of our hearts, which is that of independence. And on, let's see, on September the 12th, so just the next month actually after the channel launches, is the second documentary, which is called Independence Dead and Buried. And this looks at the history of the campaign for independence back in 2014, at the point where we actually had a vote, we actually had a referendum coming up in which we were allowed, in inverted commas, by the British state to take the power into our own hands to change our future. Now, not only does the documentary look in detail at how that came about, but it also looks at the development of the independence movement since then up to the present time, and looks at how it's gone from strength to strength, despite the demise recently of the SNP. So it's an interesting documentary in that it charts the movement itself, it charts the popularity of independence as a topic among Scottish voters, and also looks at the endurance of this idea and the fact that it's still growing in popularity. So both these things are coming up, both August the 1st, when the channel launches officially with the documentary on Scotland's space programme, and the second documentary on September the 12th, looking at our independence movement in detail over the last few years since 2014. Now, also, those of you who are keen independence campaigners will know that coming up in Edinburgh on the 7th of October, sorry, I beg your pardon, 7th of September this year, there is a large march and rally in Edinburgh. Now, Scotland TV is planning to cover the event, but is looking for a helper, just somebody from the movement who's going to be there at the event. We're needing a helper to help pick out popular and, shall we say, well-known individuals in the independence movement for interview during the live coverage. So if you are going along to Edinburgh on the 7th, please get in touch with Scotland TV or myself. I can put you in touch with the producer. The cameraman and journalist is needing help really just to identify and to stop anybody or to interview anybody during the march. So if you're knowledgeable and you have some connections and you're going, please get in touch with us, and you can be part of the team that makes that happen as well. Now, just all of this is an informational program today about Scotland TV. I just think it's worth mentioning something else which has come up recently. Peter Bell, the independence blogger, has in the last 2 weeks been blogging about the idea of a new Scotland party. And this idea is beginning to develop some momentum. And in reading his most recent posts, both on other channels and on Facebook and LinkedIn and other places where he publishes, it's beginning to look as if people are getting behind the idea. Now, this is an unusual one. Peter is proposing a party which is not taken up with the arithmetic of winning general elections. It's not about numbers, it's not about vote numbers, it's not about seat numbers, and it's not about membership numbers. This will be a party which entirely throws its weight behind independence only and puts basically the goal of independence well above any personal ambitions of the people involved or the party itself. So it's a party which is not going to be looking to be the most electable, but is looking to be the only party which is campaigning for independence and virtually nothing else. But recently, Peter's also come up with the idea of a party which is campaigning for Scottish Republic. Not just a new party for Scotland, but a new Scotland as a result of it. One which is a democratic republic, in which the sovereign people of Scotland are the ones who elect their leaders. And that means no royalty. It means that we elect our own leaders and they are responsible directly to us for their successes or failures in their efforts to create a new independent Scotland. Now, it's an interesting idea, and I'm sure many of you have read Peter's blog already, but if you haven't, I definitely recommend that you do, because I think this is an idea which basically has now got its time. This is the time for it. The traditional parties are too consumed with competing against one another and competing in what is essentially a British electoral system which can never achieve independence. But this party would exist primarily and solely, in fact, to gain independence and to establish a new Scottish Republic, something which personally I have supported all of my life. I've never believed in the monarchy at all, and I've certainly never believed in Scotland being a part of a United Kingdom ruled by an unelected monarch. So if that idea interests you, I recommend that you read the blog of Peter Bell. Anyway, that's about it from this edition of Inde-Car, but just to remind you the key dates to be watching for on YouTube, because that is where Scotland TV will be launching. The launch date is August the 1st, so that's later this week, just 4 days from now, for the first documentary on Scotland's space programme. The second date to put in your diary is September the 12th, when the Independence documentary is released on the channel as well. And finally, obviously, September the 7th for the Edinburgh March. So if you are going along and you'd like to help the Scotland channel to do its interviewing during a live programme, then please get in touch with either myself or Scotland TV, which you will find all over the internet at the moment. There are posters and posts all over social media about Scotland TV. Anyway, that's it from Inde-Car today. As usual, please keep the faith, but remember, we haven't stopped campaigning for independence, we're just about to start. And despite what is happening with political parties, which are nominally pro-independence, there is always always more than 50% of us who want independence, and we are still here, and we still have to fight for it. I'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.